The recent dueling court decisions on the use of the abortion pill mifepristone have ignited a new debate over women's health. And with future access in limbo, some states are stockpiling the medication. But the Biden administration has asked an appeals court to overturn the controversial Texas ruling to suspend the FDA's approval of the drug. That decision is expected as early as this week. Jennifer Klein is the director of the White House Gender Policy Council. She joins us now. Jen, welcome back to the NewsHour, and thanks for joining us. I want to begin with the administration's announcement today on strengthening privacy protections under HIPAA. Explain to us what you've been seeing in the anti-abortion movement that says this move was necessary now.
So one of the things that we've been seeing is that states are moving to criminalize mostly healthcare providers. And what this regulation would do today, the Department of Health and Human Services put out a notice of proposed rulemaking, so there's a chance for comment, and then the rule would ultimately be finalized. And what that would do is protect sensitive health information under what's called HIPAA. That's the federal law at issue. So that while there are exceptions for law enforcement, we would narrow that exception for law enforcement for legal reproductive health care. So, for example, you've seen women traveling out of state from one state where abortion is banned to another state where it's legal, and the legal, lawful health care that she got in the state that she traveled to, her health information, the discussion she has with her doctors, the care that she receives in that state where the care is lawful would not be available to law enforcement when this rule is made final.
Jen, this idea was raised a few months ago. A number of senators sent a letter to President Biden in September of last year asking him to use HIPAA in this way. Could this have been done sooner?
Well, initially, the Department of Health and Human Services put out guidance very early on to make clear what the protections are under HIPAA. And, we were waiting to see that, if this continued to happen and if we saw states passing laws that would criminalize healthcare, lawful healthcare, we were ready to take action. And that's what the Department of Health and Human Services did today.
I know we're awaiting the next step from the appeals court when it comes to the Texas judge's ruling on mifepristone, but there are already some advocates and some Democrats even saying that ruling was unfounded and the administration should just ignore it. Do you think you should do that?
Well, you know what? This case in Texas, this decision in Texas is dangerous, but the Department of Justice feels that it is also dangerous to ignore a binding legal decision. But what is really at issue here is that we now have two cases. We have the case in Texas, which would, if it stood, would be a nationwide injunction that would prevent mifepristone from being available across the country. But we also have a case in Washington, which is proceeding. And in fact, the Department of Justice filed a motion for clarification to better understand how those two court cases would interact. So we're using the courts. We're confident that we have both the law and the facts on our side, and that we will prevail in getting a stay and ultimately succeeding in these cases.
If that legal process does not go your way, though, what's the plan? Could you be stockpiling medication? Are there other lawsuits you could be filing now?
Several states have begun stockpiling medication, but the governor of Connecticut said it well today. If the drug is illegal, stockpiling it doesn't actually help. So, as I said, we are pursuing an aggressive court strategy, and we believe that we will prevail, and that is the answer in this case.
What about misoprostol? I mean, that's the other drug in this two-drug protocol. This ruling applies to mifepristone. Is there anything else you could be doing now to protect future access to misoprostol?
Well, at the moment, this case in Texas does not actually speak to misoprostol, so that it's really good for your viewers to understand that misoprostol remains available. It is can be safely used.
But Jen, if I may, are you anticipating that could be challenged as well? Is there anything you can do to preemptively protect access to it?
There's nothing to do preemptively, but again, I think that we don't see any reason for a very legal drug to be challenged in court. Misoprostol has a lot of uses, and again, we've seen something egregious happen in Texas, so we'll be prepared for anything. But we don't see that as a concern at the moment anyway.
The reason I ask is it gets to a larger frustration I've heard from some advocates and even some progressive Democrats I speak to. This frustration the administration has moved slowly or not been as creative or aggressive as they'd like to see. Their argument is the urgency of this moment requires the administration to meet that moment, that go ahead and get caught trying, in other words. What would you say to that?
I think we have. I think this case is a perfect example of getting caught trying. The president spoke immediately after the Dobbs decision. He issued 2 executive orders to ensure access to abortion, to contraception. We've made efforts to protect patient privacy. We're protecting the physical safety and security of patients, healthcare providers, pharmacies. This administration has worked quickly and aggressively. I just this afternoon left the 3rd meeting of the task force that's designed to bring everyone across the government together. We heard from the Attorney General about the litigation strategy and other things the Department of Justice is doing. We heard from the Secretary of Health and Human Services about this announcement on privacy, but also other things. The Department of Education is acting, the Department of Defense, the Department of Veterans Affairs. I think that really, any insinuation that we have not acted quickly, decisively, and aggressively is just not fair.
That is Jennifer Klein, Executive Director of the White House Gender Policy Council. Jen, thank you. Always good to see you.
Thank you. You too.